Peace and love, family. I'm doing another sex talk with Shan. I'm trying to see where she is at. I'm going to try to send her a request so that she can hop on and we can get started. Peace and welcome. I usually have a whole set of questions that I put on whenever I'm having a conversation with someone, but we kind of did this before and was cut off kind of early. So this is kind of like an impromptu improv second conversation of sex talk and sensuality and intimacy and our relationship to sex. Oh, here she is. So let's see where this conversation takes us. The last one was amazing. And as soon as she adds, I will pop her on. I don't know if you got my request, but here we are. Awesome sauce. I just what? It says unable to join, but I just accepted. You blasphemy. Oh, there it goes. Girl, my phone's been acting so crazy. I literally took off Instagram, re-put it on my phone, reinstalled Instagram after I took it off, and I don't know if it's still not, but
My service has been acting funny too, but not my Instagram.
we're gonna see what it says.
But it's working now, right?
Read. It is.
Yeah.
So I know that we talked a lot last time, and I feel like we covered a lot of the questions that I had kind of like set up for the talk. So I was going to have this one be more impromptu and just, kicking off what we spoke about before. I don't remember who was last to say something, but did you want to start off saying anything, or did you have any ideas about what things you wanted to kick off the conversation for today?
Not really. I know we ended it off in like childhood, what different people went through in their childhood and different childhood traumas and, getting through that or getting through just like life traumas. So that's where we ended. I don't know. There's so much like to talk about on this topic.
I'll just start by saying what I did today then. Not for the first time, because the first time that I ever was in a studio, like a music studio to create tracks or whatever, I did when I was very young, because I was a part of this camp called the Little Haiti Clubhouse in Miami, Florida, and it was a technology camp that allowed us to just learn different things, to teach us Photoshop, to teach us different Microsoft things, to teach us how to work inside of a studio. A lot of the older students worked inside a studio because they worked with computers and different programming that was a little bit more advanced than us young kids. I think I was around like 9 years old. So that was the first time I ever made a track, but today I actually recorded a poem of mine and put it over music and then added some humming and harmony vocals to it. And it came out so good. And the song, well, the not the song, but the actual poetry that I recited was a sensual poem, and it was a poem that I wrote for the very first picture that I ever took with the model Stevenson that reflected to me Black love, and it always inspired me to do a Black love series, which I haven't done yet, but it's kind of like pushed the sensual energy that I have into expressing it in my voice and enunciating certain words in a more sexy way and pushing forth a feeling of sensuality and giving a certain energy to how I'm saying certain words in order for the listener to receive a very soothing and sensual energy. The same
Right.
one that I'm reading, the same one that I felt when I wrote it. Um, and I think it's very interesting. Like,
I'm excited to hear it.
I know. I said that I was gonna put it on Apple Music, and my friend was like, "Are you?" And I was like, "I want to." So we'll see. We'll
You
see.
should.
Maybe I'll like put. Maybe I'll make it into a whole project first, and have several pieces of poetry that I wrote that specifically connect to sensuality, specifically connect to sex or kink scenes or BDSM, maybe like descriptions of actual scenes or actual feelings that you get when you are in this like realm of sensuality and sexuality. And then I'll be like, okay, I'll put out a whole project and see what you guys think. But yeah, it was interesting to do it and to feel how it feels to speak this way, knowing that this is also the way that I dance. This is also the way that I write. This is also the way that I show up on film. This is also the way that I might dress sometimes. Like now I'm using my voice to express things that my body has always expressed. And it was a very interesting piece of kind of like exploration for me because it was pretty new.
Yeah, tapping into like or tapping into and coming out of your comfort zone. So that's really
Definitely, because I was shy as hell. Good thing it was only me and my friend, but I was just like, he was like, "How do you feel?" I was like, shy, but I'm just gonna turn around and close my eyes.
yeah. Yeah, I feel that. That's how I am whenever like I get in the studio or around people, but when I'm by myself, like I can do like a really great job, speaking and just saying how I feel and
Hmm.
how I feel it. So I'm proud of you. That's super exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that it was a lot of transmutation of energy because it was me thinking back on the photo, and the words were inspiration from the photo. The photos were very sensual because I was trying to channel as much comfort as I could when we were taking those photos. That was the first time me and him had ever like truly did any work in person. Like we met each other briefly, I think maybe like several months before that, and then that was it. So I was trying to overcome the awkwardness and the shyness in person to just get the work done, which is not very hard for me when it comes to performing um, or muse or model work because I've been doing it for so long. I can kind of be like, okay, time to work.
Right.
But either way, I was still trying to find the energy that I wanted to find to showcase that part of myself that was wanting to everyone to understand how much I love this man who I'm just meeting right now on set. Everyone to understand how much history me and him have, even though we just met for like 5 minutes. Like I wanted to tell a story so much with my body and with what was being captured. And I think like that is the power of transmuting.
Oh,
It's not about what's happening now or necessarily the truth. It's almost about you putting energy into the fantasy.
right. And feeling it and actually really just like feeling it through like your words and your the photo, the art, just the art in total, the
Mm-hmm.
feeling. Yeah, I love that. And the embodiment of the feeling. So yeah, that's
Do
beautiful.
you think that there are different ways or different practices that you do that allow you to embody feelings? Or do you think that it's just something that kind of flows? Like, was it something that you practice? Because to embody feelings, I feel like is definitely a practice, depending on the different avenues in which you are embodying feelings. So, how do you feel like you've gotten to a comfort level with that?
Because that's a little tricky because we all feel, we all um, feel, but Um, I feel like there's like we all feel, but then there's like a certain language of feeling, if that makes sense. You know, it's a specific language of feeling that a lot of us don't necessarily comprehend. We know that there's this, you know, feeling that we're feeling, but we don't necessarily comprehend the language of, you know, of those specific feelings.
Mm.
So, in order to comprehend those certain languages of those different feelings, then you do have to practice. And I feel like the ways that I practice in comprehending certain feelings um, is like, practicing my yoga, flowing with the asanas, and actually the pranayama, the breathing, also helps me to understand what I'm feeling more. It helps me come to a more centeredness, a more inner balance. So, it brings out a more deeper understanding of, okay, this is what I'm feeling. And to just really be able to grasp the feeling of vulnerability,
Mm.
because that's a language right there, and in itself, the feeling of vulnerability. So to comprehend that and to just really understand those feelings, to use that to to use that as one of my powers, it's really cool. It's really
Mm.
magical. So,
Yeah, I think that there's something to say about like the fact that we all have feelings. And then because performance is an embodiment of a feeling that is technically not your own, or it's picking up a feeling that is supposed to appear as your own from the very beginning, even though it's something that you are now adopting because of a task that you must do.
right,
It takes a mastering, I think, in that way. So it takes a master of comprehension of feeling.
right,
And I think that that's where those skills of how you tap into your yoga to understand how you are feeling, to embody much more of a high level of feeling because you're so engulfed and understanding, as you say, of what your feelings are. That you're literally able to gather from what people are expecting or asking of you, even if that's not how you have been embodying that emotion at that time. Um, and that's interesting. It's interesting. It's definitely a skill. It's definitely something that not a lot of people are really good at. Um, and I think that sometimes when you do things in that way, it's less about you and more about whoever is receiving it. And I think that's also something very important. And that's a level of vulnerability as well. Because if you are so concerned with the way that you are coming off, or the fact that you don't feel right, or the fact that you might be shy with this, like you're never going to break out of the internal conversation in your head that will allow you to be much more open to whoever it is that needs to receive from you.
right,
And I think that was a mindset I was in too, because I was like, this needs to sound a way where someone is listening to the erotic energy of this poem. And it's not because the poem in and of itself is erotic, it is a metaphor and symbolism of erotica. But if I am so concerned about how I sound when I'm saying this, I can't even allow someone to be engulfed in the fantasy that I'm expecting them to receive. So there is a level of openness that I have to have, um, when it comes to my sensuality, when it comes to what I'm portraying, when it comes to my emotion, that really creates the authenticity, for everyone involved. Because the more open you are, the more you are. And the more open you are, the more others are able to receive the more you.
And the more you are able to receive as well, you know, like, so that's also where, you know, the understanding comes to place, you know, because it tends to be a lot for a lot of people when they're performing,
Mm.
especially when they're being as open and vulnerable and you know, being sensual and sexual, you know, um, you too are receiving a lot of energy as well, and it can cause and create a lot of like anxiety or you know, or just like panic attacks. So I feel like, you know, that's why it's very important to understand, you know, what it is that we're feeling when we're, you know, just doing certain things. And especially sensual and sexual activities is very important to understand what it is that we're feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And kind of floating away from what I did today, and more into like piggybacking off of that, I think that understanding your emotion is so important because you're supposed to be able to articulate your emotion. And I was explaining this to one of my friends who's a couple because one of my friends, whenever they say something, her partner responds whenever they feel something. And I was like, it's important to know how you feel and then express how you feel, but you have to first know how you feel. And you have to not be engulfed in that feeling. You should be able to express that feeling. Because
Right.
if you feel attacked and then you attack, then y'all are arguing, as opposed to you feel attacked and you say, I'm feeling attacked, and then you guys can talk about you guys feeling attacked on either side and then move past that in order to never even have an argument, but always be engulfed in having a conversation. So when you use that for something like sexuality, when you use that for something like sensuality, when you use that for something like engaging with someone that you want to be free and on another level with, namely sexually, it allows you to relax and, like you said, release that anxiety. Because if you can understand how you feel and you feel completely comfortable expressing how you feel, then there's no anxiety about the fact that you are feeling, and it's all rested in the conversation about how you feel.
Right. Exactly.
Indeed, I love these comments. I'm like reading them even though I haven't been responding, but someone said that they're just starting to understand their emotions, which is really important. You need to understand them to express them. Definitely don't let it consume you, for sure. Earlier, Heart Vacation said mastering comprehension of feeling definitely takes open vulnerability.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us, like nowadays in our generation, like we do not just know how to, you know, be open to express ourselves, and we just harness so much in, and it causes just unnecessary, like, you know, just
Problem
unnecessary.
with yourself and other people.
Yeah, and
Hmm. I agree.
we need to work on that as a collective because I'm working on it.
Yeah, I would say that I've practiced speaking about my feelings for a very long time. Honestly, I'm getting to the point where I'm mastering communication, even though I'm going to take my whole life to be a full master. But um, it's something that I am great at, as opposed to, oh, yeah, I'm a little good. It's like, no, I'm pretty great at communication.
Yeah.
Um, and it's because I've literally have always wanted to be great at communication. For some reason, I've always like really valued it. Maybe because I really valued my voice. Maybe because I never really felt like I had a strong one when I was little, because I was so shy and so timid, and like I just mentioned about recording, like I was still shy recording, like, don't look at me when I say this. So there's like a level of shyness that I still have. Okay, Pisces, true at heart. And then the timidness are is something that I've definitely grown out of, especially with time. But because I felt like I was not exercising my voice in the ways that I've always wanted to when I was younger, it was a concerted effort for me to make sure that I always did as I got older. And the more I started to understand my dynamics with other people, the more I understood how important it was for me to say things on my mind and to use my voice and to not ever have anybody shut down my voice, regardless of who they are and what type of relationship that we have. So you could be my boss, you could be this, you could be that, you could be my boyfriend, you could,
Right.
whatever it is. Like, I have to speak up. And me speaking up has nothing to do with disrespect. It has everything to do with respect for myself, especially because I've always wanted to do this and I've always wanted to do it very well. Um, so yeah, those things are skills and practices, and you have to practice it in order for it to be well. And if you don't practice it, you know, like a muscle, if you don't exercise it, it will get weak. And if it gets weak, then you can be overpowered in many ways. So those are things you just have to consistently work on. Um,
And it doesn't make you feel good like holding in things that you like need to express. Like, you know, I tried it and it's like it doesn't work for me. Like it's just it makes me feel horrible inside.
mhm.
Sick. So like I can imagine just, you know, so many other people who are just holding in so much.
Mhm. Yeah, and I just made a post about this because there's a level of passivity I've always had. I've always been very passive.
Okay.
And it used to make me feel bad, kind of like the way you describe it now. Like, oh, you know, sometimes you hold things and you just feel bad. And I'm like, yeah, that was me. And I realized that when you are being passive about something, you shouldn't feel bad. And if you feel bad, that doesn't mean that you are passive. That means that you are holding in your voice that you were supposed to express. And there's a difference. If you are being passive, it should feel relieving. Passivity should feel like you are taking off the burden of stress that you will otherwise have if you say something. Just to be like, you know what? I don't have time for this. I want to continue going on without this. I don't even want to put time and effort and energy into this. I'm going to passively let this go. Like, that's how it should feel. And I didn't realize that because I think that the idea of being passive in my mind had such a negative connotation. I kept thinking that me being passive was like a bad thing I just have to accept, as opposed to a powerful thing that should make me feel powerful when I practice it. And if I'm not feeling powerful when I practice it, that means that I literally need to say what's on my mind. You know, I either have to feel relieved or I have to feel fully expressed, but I shouldn't feel like someone is keeping me from holding my words in.
Right.
Indeed. Someone said that Sankofa goddess that she's learning to embrace her sexuality and sensuality since there is a lot of internalized misogyny. I feel
I
that.
it won't let me scroll up on the comments. I think you can just do that.
Oh. There's power in effective and honest communication by Zen, definitely. Oh, give thanks.
I saw something where it was like someone said they need to practice that expressing themselves because they feel like by them holding in their expressions, it creates anxiety, their anxiety. And um, that's most definitely true because that happens to me when I don't. You know, when I choose not to express myself, it creates anxiety, unnecessary anxiety. So,
Yes.
um, that's why it's, you know, really healthy and important to, you know, just express, you know, express those.
I agree. Someone said that they're currently in a situation where they're allowing their partner to be herself, non exclusive, while she seems to be testing to see if I'm making moves. It's frustrating. I think eventually we're going to grow apart.
What was it? What was the comment?
I guessing that. What do you mean by non exclusive? Someone said they're allowing their partner to be non exclusive, being herself, and she seems to be testing to see if he's making moves, not sure what that means. So express Lyric, I'm guessing that's how you say his name. What do you mean by being herself, and like what kind of non-exclusive? Like, are you guys poly? Are you guys an open relationship? Does she have free reign to date men and women, and you guys also have a partnership? Like, what do you mean by that? And also, like, testing if you're making moves. What does making moves mean? Like, you flirting with other people, you talking to other people, you dating other people, you having sex with other people. Like, what do you mean by making moves? Sankofa Goddess said, if it's not too heavy, how do you rediscover or get in touch with your sensuality after trauma?
What kind of trauma?
It's important.
Yeah, that's it for you. What kind of trauma? Getting real red in here. I need some more light.
Yeah. For Lyric, he said that she dates others and watches if you're chilling.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the not concerned. I'm confused about the problem. Like, what's the problem? She's saying she's single, needed time for herself before titling it. We were off and on again before. I think I need more context. I think I probably it's just hard to like get the whole story just writing bits and pieces in the caption. So that's probably why I'm not really understanding. Sankofa Goddess said that sexual and slut shaming is kind of like the trauma that she's coming from. So how do you kind of re what's the word? I guess like retain and kind of like come in contact with your sensuality and sexuality after like slut shaming and that type of trauma.
Hmm.
Let me get a jacket.
I would say, just to continue to stand, uh, just to stand firm and rooted in yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks or what anyone else has to say about you, as long as you know who you are and you stand firm in who you are, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And it is easier said than done, but that is really all that matters at the end of the day. As long as you know who you are and you stand firm in that and, you just continue to do that. Some of the things that I would do is just, continue living in passion and living, my truest self and being around people who support me and who love me and who and people who actually see me. So that's what matters, just to keep your surroundings in high spirits and
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say a more practical way, although that is very practical too. I think mentioning your friend group is a very practical way of practicing that. The other things, I'm sure that if I was like her, I'll probably be like, okay, how do I do that?
Yeah.
But for me, I would say you can start off with affirmations because that's an active thing that you can do in order to feel better about yourself, where you are changing your internal self talk. Because when you want to do certain things, when you feel certain ways, when you are aroused in certain ways, or you're interested sexually in certain ways, you might just have that voice in your mind saying, oh, girl, this is you, this is that, you're this, you're that, you're a slut, you're this, you're that. You have to kind of rewire your brain to say different things to yourself, because the way that shaming works is that your internal voice is shameful. So, if you start to practice affirmations that connect directly to your sexuality, where you write down a list of things, a list of ways that you want to feel, for example, and you say, you know, I am someone deserving of pleasure. I am a queen deserving of oral sex. I am someone who deserves amazing penetrative sex that enlightens me. I am someone who deserves to be aroused by A, B, and C. If you have a list of things like that directly connected to your sexuality and speak those things out every morning or every night and just continue those practices, those affirmations, even if you don't believe them right now, are going to become things that you eventually believe, because anything that is repetitive in your mind is going to trick your mind into believing that it's something now true and now normal. Normality is something that just happens frequently. So if you make it normal for yourself, you're going to believe it. And whatever you believe make normal for yourself, you're going to then embody it. Then it becomes a lot easier to walk in your truth. Then it becomes a lot easier to be your most authentic self. Then it becomes a lot easier to cut off people who don't align with what you're saying, because you're saying all these affirmations to yourself. And now you hear that girl over there who was your friend for 5 years being like, oh, girl, that's some whole shit. And you're like, my affirmation list says I am not a hoe and I am not a slut. So if I'm not
Right.
these things, and you're now hearing someone call you these things, you know exactly where to cut things off of and where to shed, honestly, where you have grown out of. And I would say that beginning in that way is a way to kind of start like this journey of reclaiming your sensuality and sexuality, because you're now reclaiming how you feel about your sensuality and sexuality. um that'll be my first step, I would say. And
Yeah,
I
that's great. That's a great idea because I have affirmations everywhere. Like they're everywhere. Even
hmm
on my mirrors, like in little, like, little cute little affirmation things that you get from like Ross or stuff. It's like really, it's really nice to have, those affirmations, around, so you see them every day. So it, like what you were saying, it becomes this like subconscious manifestation, and it just like bursts out into your reality, and it comes to
hmm
life. So yeah.
a perfect way. And I would say that, like,
No,
yeah, some you don't say that again.
you froze for a little bit,
Oh,
but it can.
it might have been a text message coming through. But
Oh,
I was gonna say that, like, but yeah, once those affirmations become very strong for you and you shed the people around you that are not really affirming you the way you are affirming yourself, it becomes so much easier to find people who kind of enhance who you are and um, protect who you are and remind you of who you are, because we don't always remember who we are forever and a day. And if we don't consistently practice, sometimes we forget. But it's really special to have the people around us remind us of who we are, and they will help us reclaim our sexuality and sensuality too, especially if you start to befriend people who are a little bit more sexually liberated or have been practicing sexual liberation a longer time than you have. Now you have people around you who not only affirm what you're saying, but helps you challenge yourself in being more of who you want to be in that
right.
sexual and sensual way. And I feel like that's very helpful as well.
That's what happened to me kind of too. I was slowly tapping into my sensuality and my sexuality, and I met this like yogi girl. We became like yoga partners, and she was very open and like very vulnerable, and she taught nude yoga, and that was my first time experiencing nude yoga, and it was very great. Like I felt very comfortable, just being in my own skin around other people nude. So
Mhm.
great experience, and that brought me more into my sensuality and my sexuality. Just by being around, her energy, it opened me up into, you know, being more of myself and who I am today. But
hmm Yeah, I identify as a nudist, and in the house that I was living in Miami, I was always nude, and I would be uncomfortably nude, as in, like. if I was home and y'all brought friends over, I hope y'all warned them because they gonna see me butt booty naked walking through the living room. I didn't give any fuck. And what it did was it made it so that people who would come to the house and would be shocked to see me, they started to be more comfortable. Then when they saw me, they'd be like, okay, Ayana, butt booty naked, just walking through the living room. Hey, what's up?
Right.
Hey, what's up? Sitting there talking, having a conversation. When you embody who you truly are and you express yourself without any inhibitions, not worried about anything, people can feel that. Like, people can feel freedom. Okay. People know
Right.
what it looks like because it's an energy. And when you feel freedom and you want to be more free and you start practicing ways to be more free and start doing things that push how you personally feel more free, you inspire others to do the same, you know? And it's one of those things that connects to like each one teach one. Like as soon as you do this, you're going to find other people who want to do the same thing and who want to practice the same thing and who want to push the same thing. And then, you know, lo and behold, there's a whole bunch of naked people, you know, walking through the woods and the living rooms and the side of the streets and the beaches. And, you know, that's how communes and communities come together, by someone being bold enough to be their true self and someone else being like, I'm gonna do the same thing and we're gonna do that shit together.
Right.
I love it.
What are these things?
Yeah, I love that question though. So thanks for asking. Any other questions? I did slightly read some of the other informations. Um, so she says, I really want to tap into nudity, but sometimes I get so self-conscious about my scars and stretch marks. Yeah, there are certain things that I personally feel like you just gotta rip off the band-aid. Okay. So I remember I was at, I don't know if you were with us, Shan. I don't think you were. I was in the woods. This was like,
Camping trip?
yeah. Were you
Maybe.
with us when we were all naked in the river
Yeah,
singing?
I was
Yeah.
there.
Okay. I feel like that would be a thing that you would be with us
Yeah,
doing. Okay, that makes sense.
I was there.
So we were all at a festival and we went to the river, and you know everybody had their bikinis on. Me being the true nudist that I am, I obviously had to get naked, so I took all my clothes off, and I feel like I inspired people because everybody was like, oh, this bitch naked, shit, I'm naked too. So everybody else took their clothes
Right.
off. And as soon as we walked to the middle part of the river, we started to descend down the river just in a more secluded space, and it was only women, which was really nice. So it was me, Shan, it was our pregnant friend at the time, and about 3 or 4 other women. We all took all our clothes off, walked down to the water, and I was on shrooms at the time. I was putting like water. Actually, I was on acid. I was putting like water on my face and like kind of like feeling the water drip down. It was cool and cold water too, so I felt like it was like really cleansing. Then we all started like singing in the woods and just started doing like these serenades and just like a cappella music. It just felt like I don't know, like a Disney movie scene with some naked black women though. But it was amazing. And I feel like one of the women who was there was so self-conscious about her body. She's like, I have these stretch marks, like I don't feel cute anymore, you know, like I feel like I y'all taking off y'all clothes, but I don't know if I want to take off my clothes. We're like, girl, we are all women here. We all have bodies that can grow and that can shrink, that can bend, that can stretch. Like, we are all here experiencing nature. Like, and you are a part of that. If you don't take them damn clothes off and let's sing a song in these woods, I know something. Lo and behold, you know, we're all there, all what, 7 of us there, all nude and naked, and it there was no process for her to get ready to feel better to be naked. She just had to rip the band-aid off and get ready right then and there. And afterwards she's like, thank you guys so much, like I feel so free, I feel so beautiful. You know, we were just giving her affirmations. We're telling her, you know, like, girl, you are beautiful, look at that body, you have a womb, you have like a childbearing body, you are strength, you are power. Like, we were giving her affirmations because she was around like-minded individuals that, you know, were doing that for her because she didn't feel that way about herself. But she took that, and she took that leap of faith right then and there to just become more confident, you know, and that probably did leaps and bounds for her. Like she probably felt amazing after that point because she had never really exposed her body, and she was like about to give birth like in another couple months. So she was very, very pregnant, and I don't think that she had ever really been around anybody and felt that way up until that point. And that was her what, almost her entire pregnancy. All that to say, like sometimes you probably not going to have the time to get around to feeling better about your body. You just have to embrace it because it's beautiful and it's natural and it ain't fake and cut and this and that. It's what nature intended it to be.
And nudity is like, you know, it's not all about, you know, the
It's not
outer.
about perfection, number one.
It's not just about the outer looks. It's about, you know, how you feel on the inside. It's what's going to be projected on the outside. So, you know,
Mm-hmm. When you
yeah.
do things like go to the nude beach, you realize that, like,
Yeah.
you know, because everybody's out there not worrying about what they look like. And the thing about
Right.
the old people that be on the beach is that you finally understand why they don't give a fuck. Because none of it matters.
It doesn't.
None of it matters. Like everybody is so caught up in how things look. And like, yeah, easy for me to say because I model. Okay, yeah, sure. But before I did, I was fucking naked. Before I did, I was like taking things off. Like
And
before I
that's why
did
you
it,
are where you are today.
right. I had to embody who I was, or else I wouldn't have the profession that I have now, or be so great at the profession that I have now. And it's all about who you are, regardless of what you do. And who you are is this beautiful body. And without all of this shit on us, we are our most authentic selves and we're not hiding. That's the thing about nudity. Nudity is when you finally are yourself and you're not hiding. And a lot of people, they don't hide. And the only time they don't hide is when they're all alone. It's about not hiding in front of everyone else. You know, not hiding and you're in public, not hiding and you're on a beach, not hiding and you're in the woods, not hiding and you're in a river with other people. Like, if you are hiding and the only time that you feel comfortable to not hide is by yourself, then there's a lot of work you have to do to fully be your authentic self. And I feel like that's what it's all about.
Yeah, being able to be your authentic self around other people,
Mm-hmm.
around the world, being
Mm-hmm.
your authentic self in the world. Yeah.
Indeed.
Any questions?
Some people gonna be there. I'm dead.
Somebody said shrimp eggplant.
Yeah, like when they go to the new beach, they really do. Some people be out there with 3 inches,
With the
3 inch
little
penises, and they don't
on
care.
on their
They don't
balls.
care. And then when you finally go and you leave, what? The earth didn't shut down. We didn't have no pandemic because you was naked. Nobody
Right.
else. Like you ain't get shot on the beach. Like nothing happened. All that happened was somebody was naked one day on the beach. That's it. That's all. Y'all so worried. That's all that happened. So worried. He's like, yeah, him with that 3 inch penis. He didn't care. And now I'm here. What? I saw him months ago at this point. I forgot about it. He forgot about it. I mean, those things like never even matter. So we really, the thing about being self-conscious, that is all about you.
And that's
Self-consciousness
what
is
I was
never about nobody
saying.
else.
That's what I was just saying in my head, and then you said it.
It's
So you're
like, it's all in here.
it really is because nobody really does. Nobody really cares. But here.
Right. No one's gonna come up to you and be like, ma'am, yeah. The side of your butt. No one's gonna come up to you.
Well, actually, somebody did. Somebody has came up to me at the beach
And said what?
and was like, basically saying, like, you know, there's kids out here, and I looked back and it was like her husband looking at me, and I was like, my top, like, what's wrong with your kids seeing my boobs?
Were
Like,
you on Miami Beach?
no, I was in Puerto Rico
Oh, okay.
on
I mean,
vacation. Yeah, it wasn't But she did come up to me. She did. And she was like, there's kids out here. And I was like,
But I mean, like, she didn't come up to you and start talking about different parts of your body that you are self-conscious about showing. She was come up to
okay.
you because
Yeah.
she was worried that like you were being she was being much more prude than you were on the beach. But that's different than someone being like, ma'am, yeah, all the insecurities you're thinking about, let me list them. Like no one's out here doing that for real. That is
Yeah.
all in your mind about how you expect people to
To
respond
look at
to, and they never do because no one's literally thinking about the stuff that you are thinking about.
right.
But I mean, I was on Miami Beach, nude, not nude, topless, and it is literally a part of the law. Like patrons are legally allowed to not wear a top on Miami Beach. It's a part of the law. Look it up and everything. So I go
Okay.
there sometimes topless, and people still freak out. They're like, "Oh my god!" I mean, people act crazy that they never seen titties before. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like we've just gotten so overly sexualized. That's just what I don't like, you know.
Mhm.
I really enjoy being myself and, being nude, but it's just like the over, sexualization on the woman's body has just
Mhm.
gotten just over to the max. And
It
I don't know
is. It is.
why.
And honestly, I feel like if it's a group of women, it is still jarring, but less.
It makes it more acceptable.
It makes it more acceptable. Because when I do it and I'm the only one, I get the most shit. If I do it when I'm with at least one other of my friends who are topless with me because they're like, yeah, hell yeah, let's go topless. We don't hear nothing.
Right.
Crickets on the beach. Like no one says a thing. But when I do it by myself, especially if I'm alone, because that's what I used to do. I used to go to the beach by myself and be topless, and people freaked out. I mean, older men, younger men, older women, younger women, teenagers, kids. I mean, like everybody's freaking out except for like babies.
Yeah.
Everybody's freaking out except for the people who never even learned to freak out in that way. And you know that if no one else is everyone else is freaking out except for the young kids, then it's like, okay, they're the ones who haven't been taught yet about what y'all are concerned about. Y'all gonna teach them because of the way that you're acting, but
Right.
without y'all indoctrinating these minds, they're literally living their best life on the beach and ignoring me.
And they're like, oh, that's normal. Those are just booze. That's food. That's like where I get the food from. It's just normal.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. And I don't know how it got this way. And I just don't. That's the only thing that I don't like. Just
Mm.
being.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's something that I have found discomfort in. So going back to
Yeah.
the Sankofa goddess, like when I'm nude on the beach, not nude on the beach, when I'm topless on the beach, I'm not always the most comfortable. I'm not, to be honest. I'm sitting there,
Yeah.
people looking at me,
One.
people gawking at me, people trying to take pictures sometimes, and I'm like, okay. And I honestly push through it because there are some times when I'm in situations where I'm not the most comfortable, but I feel like if I make myself comfortable or if I don't care enough about what's going on around me and I just do what I have to do in order to sit in my own skin, then it's going to do more for me than the discomfort that I would feel, than the shame that I would feel if I put a bra on now. Like, oh, people are looking at me and put a bra on. Like, I'm gonna feel like I don't even have control over what I want to do, regardless of how you feel about it. And that's why I do it sometimes. Like I rip the band-aid off for myself. And sometimes when I feel a little weird about things, I do it anyway because it
It
does
makes
much more for me and my self-confidence than it's going to do for them and their judgment.
right. And it makes you feel good at the end. So I totally, I'm right there with you. So I think I need to get past, the discomfort right now because I
Mhm.
feel like just, so many incidents have been happening to
Mhm.
me with me being vulnerable and open, and just my vulnerability has just been taken a little advantage of,
Mhm.
or so I need to get past the discomfort that I've been feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the thing about vulnerability is that it has to marry well with boundaries. And if you have a easier time being vulnerable and a harder time expressing boundaries, you're going to feel like there's a problem with you being vulnerable. That's not the problem. The problem is the people you're vulnerable around, or the ones who do take your vulnerability and run with it, or the ones who should make you feel more comfortable but are making you feel worse. Like, those are the people who create the problems. But vulnerability in and of itself is a superpower, but you have to know how to use it. You know, you can't just be out here knowing how to light up things with the red eye, like Bucky on X-Men, and be like, yeah, my superpower is lit. It's like, yeah, but you need some special glasses or you be blowing shit up, okay? And like that's what it is. It's like, if you don't know how to strategically use it, you're going to feel like it is the problem. Like, if I could just see straight without that red laser out my eye, I wouldn't have no problems. Like, or you could have a special glasses where you could just look at anything and anyone and then use your power as soon as you need it. Like, that's what it's all about.
Right. Yeah.
Me, I think we have about 7 more minutes
Yeah.
before we shut down.
Oh, I think, or did you, maybe you picked up something. I thought I saw like a little psh orb in your video.
Oh, is it? Maybe it was me talking.
Yeah, nobody really had any questions. I don't know. Somebody was saying, I'm sorry, Shan, don't let that scare you. I
Yeah.
can't see comments.
Yeah, that's what Sankofa Goddess said. I think she was
Oh, why would I be
moving.
scared?
I think she was speaking about you and like how people are, have been like lately taking advantage, and you're kind of taking a step back,
Oh,
kind of like redirecting your energy with people and stuff.
yeah, no, I'm not scared. I'm definitely not scared. Um, I'm just taking a step back,
Mm-hmm.
right? Taking a step back and being more mindful and discerning of where I place my energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just a very vulnerable person, so that's just who I am. So it's just like, that's just where, wherever I am, I'm gonna be vulnerable. So it's just like me being, discerning of just where my energy flows
Mm-hmm.
from on.
Yeah, someone said that's what people are gonna do. Goddess self-love pays the way. Choose where you're comfortable and thrive there, and you can grow in your own divinity. But of course,
That's
indeed,
it's
agreed.
good to be home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're in your new place now, right?
No.
No, on the weekend you go there.
Yeah, on the weekend I'm
Oh,
going there. I am in my same old place for about a year.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in my new place, but I'm comfy here,
Yeah.
and it's like homey. It reminds me of the house I lived in Miami, which was also like it was like a creative house, um,
Yeah.
and I just was ripping and running when I was living there too, and living my best life.
Yeah.
So yes, but yes, Shan is still in Orlando, in the
Yeah.
wonderful red lit house of plants. How were your plants when you went back? Were they okay?
They were like, no, they're dying. They're dying. Some of them like died, and it was really sad. I tried to, bring them back to life. And some of them are like sprouting back up slowly. And then there's some that's been kicking it. They're doing good, yeah.
Well, I'm currently growing 2 avocado trees, so they haven't sprouted leaves yet. They
Hopefully
are
they fruit and
tall as hell, so they're growing very fast. But like their little leaves are just now budding in the very beginning. But hola, Levin, and
See the
good
fruits in
thing.
Georgia. Avocado fruits in Georgia.
I don't know if avocados grow in Georgia, to be honest. I was thinking about that. I was like, I've never seen an avocado tree here, but also, who knows if they do or don't, because there are fruit trees that grow here, and there's not always, and I mean, there's not a whole lot of them, but there's some coconut trees that grow here. And I feel like if coconut trees grow here, why can't avocado tree grow here? Because coconut trees are mad tropical.
I've never seen no
I
coconut tree.
feel like I feel like I've seen at least one or two in this region.
Someone's like, when is the next you guys are hosting? Well, Ayana's probably gonna go on with another guest.
Indeed. I think my next guest is going to actually it is on the 17th. I believe that might be a Sunday. But I'm going to be talking with Naila, who also goes by Gunshots on Instagram.
Nine.
To speak of that. So, oh, Zen said coconut trees can be pretty resilient. I sure as hell saw a coconut tree and it was not in South Florida because I thought to myself, why is a coconut tree up here? And I remember thinking that because it was not in South Florida. So I don't remember if it was here, if it was in North Florida, but either way, the terrain is very similar in both areas. And I feel like um, if it can thrive there, then why not an avocado tree? But we will see, goddamn. We will see.
In like a year.
Right. I mean,
Long.
they're gonna have to live for like 20 years for me to actually see fruits, but that's besides the point. The point is they're growing, okay, they're doing well, and I'm happy because I ain't nobody grown no trees before, so we'll see.
So next Wednesday is your burlesque show.
Yes. So if you're
There.
Atlanta, Georgia, I'm having a burlesque show next Wednesday at Rocksteady. It starts at 9 p.m. The show will start at 11 p.m. And it is free entry. Bring your dollar bills and your tips for the performers. Going to have crafts, cocktails, and food served upstairs in the lounge where we'll be performing up until 10:30. So definitely come through if you're in Atlanta or if you're flying to Atlanta or if you're driving down and you're going to come through to the event on Wednesday. Thank you, Shan.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute. And this is the first one that I'm actually going to come to, so I'm super excited
Yeah, I'm excited
to see
too.
you perform in person.
Indeed. And it is me performing a new venture of performance that I am coining as Afro Burlesque, where I dance to African drumming.
That's interesting.
It's a very spiritual experience, I would say. I love
Yeah,
it.
I'm excited.
But before this cuts off, let's do our debut. So it is Ayana the model coming to you with another sex talk with gorgeous Shan. Thank you so much for doing this one with me. Thank you everyone who joined, and thank you for all the questions
Yeah.
and comments. We love reading them and engaging with you all. Any last words you'd like to say?
Yeah, no, thank you guys for tuning in and thank you for having me a part of your sex talk, Ayana. I love you and thank you for space for myself, for you, and for everyone on this platform. So, yes.
Indeed. Peace and love, guys. Have a good night.
Peace. I love you. Meow.
Love you.